Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got a wild story for you. A roller coaster of laughs, love, and a little chaos. Picture this, a sweaty Friday afternoon in the heart of the city's artsy district, where the streets are buzzing with galleries, coffee shops, and people who think they're cooler than they actually are. That's where we meet Lila Grayson. She's 29, the creative director at Grayson Media, this massive company that pumps out TV shows, magazines, you name it. Lila's not your typical corporate big shot, though. She's the kind of girl who rocks paint-splattered abstract tees, beat-up sneakers, and trips over her own feet at least twice a day. Smart as a whip, sure, but clumsy enough to make you wonder how she's still in charge of anything. So Lila's just escaped a soul-crushing meeting at Grayson headquarters. You know the type. Hours of suits yammering about budgets while she's doodling stick figures in the margins, dreaming of a turkey sandwich and a quiet night with her sketchbook. She's trudging through the arts district, phone in hand, texting her assistant about some deadline she's already forgotten, when everything goes sideways. A few steps ahead, there's Ethan Carver, 31, the slick executive director of Carver Entertainment, Grayson Media's arch nemesis in the world of showbiz. Ethan's got this cool, untouchable vibe, dark button-up shirt, ripped jeans, messy hair that somehow looks intentional. But don't let the polished exterior fool you, he's a goofball at heart. The kind of guy who'd quote bad action movies just to mess with you. That day, he's not in some fancy boardroom, but chilling by a street mural, sipping a soda after catching up with a buddy. Here's where it gets good. A scruffy dude in a baseball cap zips through the crowd, snatching a purse from an older lady haggling over some handmade earrings at a stall. The guy's quick blink, and he's halfway down the block. Ethan spots it, ditches his soda, and bolts after him. With a swift grab, he yanks the purse back and yells, "Hey, drop it, punk!" The thief curses, shoves the bag into Ethan's chest, and vanishes into the sea of people. Ethan's standing there, purse in hand, catching his breath, ready to play hero and return it to the lady. But then, bam! Lila looks up from her phone just in time to see Ethan holding the bag, his jaw set, like he's about to make a getaway. In her head, it's straight out of some crime flick she binged last weekend. Thief? Check. Sketchy guy with the loot? Double check. Without a second thought, she channels every self-defense class she half paid attention to and charges at him like a caffeinated tornado. "Stop right there, you creep!" she shouts, launching a wobbly roundhouse kick she saw on YouTube. Ethan's eyes widen, part shock, part what the hell, and he dodges just enough to avoid a bruised shin. But her momentum? Oh, it's not stopping. She clips his arm, he stumbles, and down they go in a heap on the sidewalk, the purse skidding away. Before Ethan can get a word out, Lila's on his back, pinning his arms like she's auditioning for a cop show. "Call the cops," she yells to the growing crowd. "I've got the thief's buddy right here." Ethan's flailing under her, half laughing, half pissed. "Are you nuts? I'm not with him." I grab the purse back. "Get off me." Lila's not buying it. "Yeah, right, that's what they all say. I saw you with the bag, tough guy." She fumbles in her bag for something to tie him up, settling on a neon paintbrush she uses for sketching, and loops it around his wrists. It's so loose he could slip out in 2 seconds, but she's too proud to notice. The crowd's loving it, some guy's filming, a kid's giggling, and the old lady's just standing there, clutching her earrings, totally lost. Ethan's growling now. "Lady, I was helping. You're the one assaulting me." Lila smirks, brushing her bangs out of her face. "Tell it to the judge, accomplice. I'm a hero today." Cue the sirens. 2 cops roll up, looking more amused than alarmed. The older one's like, "All right, what's the deal here?" Lila jumps up, pointing at Ethan. "Officer, I caught this guy red hand with the stolen purse." Ethan, finally free of the paintbrush, stands up, dusting off his jeans. "She's delusional. I chased the real thief. Check the cameras for God's sake." The cops do just that, pulling footage from a nearby gallery's security system. Sure enough, There's Ethan sprinting after the thief, snagging the purse, and then, yep, Lila tackling him like a linebacker. The younger cop stifles a laugh. Miss, you got the wrong guy. He's clean. The old lady pipes up, "Oh, thank you, young man," and snatches her purse back, still clueless about the drama. Lila's face goes beet red. My bad?" Ethan glares at her, rubbing his elbow where she landed. "You're bad, you nearly broke my arm, you walking disaster." She fires back, "Well, you look shady holding that bag. Who are you anyway?" That's when the cop, flipping through Ethan's ID, cuts in. "Ethan Carver, Carver Entertainment." Lila freezes. Then her own ID slips out of her pocket. "Lila Grayson, Grayson Media." They lock eyes. Carver, Grayson, the two families who've been clawing at each other's throats for decades over TV ratings, ad deals, you name it. Ethan smirks, tossing her paintbrush back. "Nice moves, Grayson. Next time aim for the actual bad guy." Lila snatches it, muttering, "Watch yourself, Carver. You've got a criminal face." They storm off in opposite directions, the crowd still buzzing, but there's a spark in their glares, half something else neither of them can place. And that, folks, is just the start. Stick around, because this mix-up's about to turn their worlds upside down. So, Lila Grayson and Ethan Carver thought that whole purse-snatching fiasco would be a one-and-done disaster, right? Nope. Fate's got a twisted sense of humor, and it wasn't letting them off the hook that easy. Over the next week, these two kept crashing into each other like magnets with a grudge, and every time it was a mess of sparks and snark that neither of them could shake off. First up, there's this swanky art bar downtown, a place with dim lights, overpriced cocktails, and walls covered in funky paintings. Lila's there on a mission for Grayson Media, sent to snag a rare abstract piece at a silent auction. It's this wild splash of colors, all jagged lines and chaos, the kind of thing she'd hang in her office just to freak out the stuffy execs. She's in her element, sipping a gin and tonic, wearing a black tee with some neon squiggles she painted herself, feeling pretty smug about her opening bid of 10 grand. Then Ethan strolls in, representing Carver Entertainment. He's not even there for the art. He's just buttering up some investor who loves this kind of scene. But when he spots Lila across the room, smirking over her bid sheet, something in him flips. Maybe it's the bruise still fading on his elbow from her tackle, or maybe it's just the Grayson name lighting a fire under him. Either way, he saunters over, grabs a bidding paddle, and ups it to 15,000 without blinking. Lila catches him out of the corner of her eye and nearly chokes on her drink. "You've got to be kidding me," she mutters, scribbling 20 grand on her sheet. Ethan glances over, all casual, and bumps it to 30. She glares at him, slamming down 50,000 like it's a personal attack. "What's your deal, Carver? You don't even like art." He leans back in his chair, smirking. "Maybe I just like winning, Grayson, or maybe I want to see how far you'll go." Oh, it's on now. The bids fly fast. 70, 100, 200,000. The bartender's watching like it's a tennis match, and the other bidders have given up, grabbing popcorn vibes from the sidelines. Lila's grinning like a maniac, jacking it to 500 grand, thinking she's got him cornered. Ethan pauses, then drops 800,000 like it's pocket change. The room goes dead quiet, then erupts in claps and whispers. Lila throws her hands up, laughing so hard she almost tips her chair. "Congrats, Carver! 800 grand for a painting my dog could have made with its tail. Enjoy decorating your jail cell with it." Ethan grabs the paddle from her table, twirling it like a trophy. "Thanks, Grayson. I'll hang it somewhere you'll never see it. Like my penthouse," she snorts. "Good luck explaining that to your board." They're both fuming, but there's this glint in their eyes, like they're secretly loving the chaos. They part ways with the crowd, still buzzing about the crazy art fight, and Lila's already plotting her next move. A few days later, they're at it again, this time at a big media expo packed with industry hotshots. Lila's up on stage, rocking a blazer over her usual quirky tee, pitching Grayson Media's latest project, some cutting-edge app that blends art and tech. She's killing it, all passion and big gestures, until she spots Ethan in the crowd, lounging in the third row with a coffee cup and that smug little grin she's starting to hate. Or maybe not hate, if she's honest. She's mid-sentence. Our platform redefines creative engagement when Ethan raises his hand like a kid in class. The moderator hands him a mic and he stands, voice smooth as silk. Grayson Media's talking a big game about creativity, but is this app really groundbreaking or just disruptive? Like someone I know who can't tell a hero from a thief. The audience chuckles and Lila's ears burn. She grips the podium, forcing a smile. Thanks for the input, Mr. Carver. I'm sure our app's solid, unlike some people who'd rather pick up trash than innovate. The crowd's eating it up, a mix of laughs and oohs. Ethan doesn't miss a beat, sipping his coffee. Trash? You mean that painting I snagged? It's growing on me, kinda like your pitch, but less wobbly. Lila fires back. Glad you like it. Hope it's sturdy enough to hold up your ego. More laughs, and she powers through her slides, throwing in a dig about overpriced distractions that has Ethan raising his cup in mock salute. They're trading jabs like pros, all sharp and polished, but underneath, there's this weird energy, like they're pushing each other's buttons on purpose, testing how far they can go without cracking up. When Lila steps off stage, Ethan's waiting by the coffee stand, tossing her a napkin. Nice show, Grayson. You almost sounded convincing. She snags it, wiping imaginary sweat. Thanks, Carver. Next time, bring better questions, or a better painting. They walk off in opposite directions, but not before glancing back, just for a split second. It's not hate anymore. It's something else, something neither of them's ready to name. And trust me, that's just the warm-up. These two are about to stumble into way more than they bargained for. After that art bar showdown and the expo sparring match, Lila Grayson and Ethan Carver probably figured they'd seen the worst of each other. But life's got a funny way of flipping the script, and for these two, it wasn't about to let them slink back to their corners. Over the next few days, they kept running into each other, not in boardrooms or battlegrounds, but in quieter, weirder moments that started peeling back the snark and showing something softer underneath. It starts on a dreary Tuesday afternoon, the kind where the sky's just a gray blob dumping rain on everyone. Lila's stuck under a beat-up awning outside some hipster bookstore, her sketchbook tucked under her arm, soaking wet because, of course, she forgot an umbrella. She's in this ratty old hoodie with a smeared paint design, muttering to herself, "Perfect, just perfect. All I wanted was a coffee, not a shower." Her sneakers are squishing with every step she doesn't take, and she's seriously considering sprinting through the downpour when a sleek black car rolls up, splashing a puddle right at her feet. The window slides down, and there's Ethan leaning over from the driver's seat, that half smirk of his firmly in place. "What's this, Grayson? Creative director can't create a plan for rain?" Lila glares, wiping water off her face. "Oh, shove it, Carver. Not everyone drives a fancy tank around. I'm fine here." But her teeth are chattering, and Ethan's not blind. He catches the shiver she's trying to hide. "Yeah, you look real fine," he says, popping the passenger door open. "Get in before you drown, or I'll leave you here to sulk." She hesitates, pride screaming no, but the cold wins. "Fine," she grumbles, sliding in with her soggy sketchbook dripping all over his leather seats. "But don't talk my ear off and drive slow. I'm not dying in your car." Ethan laughs, this low, warm sound that catches her off guard. "Relax, I'm not that bad a driver. Where to, oh mighty artist?" She mutters her address, and they're off, the rain smacking the windshield like a drum roll. The ride's a battlefield at first. "You're dripping everywhere," he says, tossing her a scarf from the back seat. "What, no tip for the rescue?" She snatches it, wiping her hands. "Rescue? I'd have survived. You just like playing night to mess with me." He grins. "Maybe." Or maybe I didn't want Grayson Media suing me for letting their star catch pneumonia. She rolls her eyes. Oh, please. You'd love the headline, Carver saves the day. But as the miles tick by, the bickering softens. Lila's staring out the window, sketching invisible lines on the foggy glass, and Ethan's sneaking glances at her, the radio humming some old rock tune. You're quieter than I expected, he says, almost gentle. She shrugs. Rain makes me thinky. You? He taps the wheel. Same. Works loud. Sometimes I just want the static to stop. It's the first real thing they've said, and it hangs there unguarded. Fast forward a couple days, and they're thrown together again, this time at a community center downtown. It's a charity gig, painting murals with a bunch of kids who don't care about corporate feuds. Lila's there because she loves this stuff. Getting messy with paint, making something real. She's in faded jeans and a white tee, kneeling on the floor, laughing as a little boy smears blue all over her arm. You're a pro, kiddo, she says, ruffling his hair. Gonna hire you for my next project. Ethan's there too, not forced by some PR team, but because he's got a soft spot for these events, reminds him of simpler days. He's in a gray shirt and khakis, tossing a ball with some older kids outside, then ducking in for water. That's when he spots Lila, mid-story, waving her hands like a lunatic. So the clumsy queen trips over her own crown, she's telling the kids, and lands right in a puddle of glitter. They're cracking up, and Ethan can't help it. He slides in, leaning against the wall. Bet she spilled paint on her best friend too, he adds, smirking. Lila's head snaps up, eyes narrowing, but she's grinning. Oh, look, it's the guy who can't catch a ball without tripping. The kids giggle and one tugs her sleeve. Is he your friend, Miss Lila? She snorts. More like my arch nemesis. He's terrible at art. Ethan crouches down, grabbing a brush. Want to bet? I'll paint circles around you. Soon they're side by side, slapping colors on a canvas with the kids, arguing over who's got the better tree. Yours looks drunk, she says. Yours looks like it's melting, he fires back. But then the kids scatter, and it's just them, sitting on the floor, paint on their hands, catching their breath. Lila sighs, staring at the mural. This beats the office any day. No suits, no yelling, just mess and fun. Ethan nods, wiping green off his cheek. Yeah, work's a cage sometimes. Out here, I don't have to be the Carver heir, just me. She looks at him, surprised. You feel that too? I thought it was just me hating the grind. He shrugs. Nah, it's universal. Bet you'd rather be painting than pitching, huh? She laughs. Every day. They're quiet for a beat, the air shifting. You're not as awful as I thought, she admits, half smiling. He smirks. You're still a disaster, but it's growing on me. She nudges him with her elbow, leaving a red streak on his arm. Oops, guess you're part of the art now. He laughs, and it's real, not the sharp, guarded kind from before. That's when it starts, this little thread between them, tugging them closer despite everything. They don't say it, don't even think it yet, but it's there, messy and bright, like the mural drying on the wall. And trust me, it's about to get a whole lot messier. By now, Lila Grayson and Ethan Carver were getting used to tripping over each other, literally and figuratively. Those little run-ins, the snarky jabs, the unexpected laughs, they were starting to feel less like accidents and more like something inevitable. But here's the thing about inevitability. It doesn't care about family feuds or corporate grudges. And for Lila and Ethan, that was about to hit them like a freight train. It all goes down because of one stupid photo. Remember that charity gig at the community center? Someone, a volunteer with a nosy streak, snapped a picture of Lila and Ethan while they were painting with the kids. It's nothing wild, just Lila handing Ethan a paintbrush, both of them laughing, her with blue smudged on her cheek, him with that rare, unguarded grin. She's slipping him a goofy friendship bracelet one of the kids made, twisted yarn in neon green, and he's actually putting it on, smirking like it's no big deal. innocent, right? Not when you're a Grayson and a Carver. That photo lands in the wrong hands or the right ones depending on who's looking. It spreads like wildfire through the media world, pinging from one exec's inbox to another until it slams onto the desk of Henry Grayson, Lila's dad. Henry's a bear of a man, broad shoulders, gray hair, voice like gravel. He spent 30 years turning Grayson Media into a titan, and half that time fighting Carver Entertainment over every ad slot and headline. When he sees his daughter giggling with Ethan Carver, he nearly cracks his coffee mug, slamming it down. "Lila, what the hell is this?" he roars, storming into her office later that day. She's there in her paint-splattered tee, sketching something pointless, and looks up like a deer in headlights. What's what, Dad?" she tries, but he shoves the photo in her face. "This? You and that Carver punk grinning like idiots? I've told you 100 times. Those snakes stole our biggest campaign in '98. You fraternizing with the enemy?" Lila sighs, slumping in her chair. She knew this was coming eventually. She's not dumb. She's known Ethan's a Carver since that first tackle. "Dad, chill. He's not that bad. It was just painting kids. Not a merger." Henry's not having it. Not that bad? His mother tried to tank us with that lawsuit 5 years ago. You're done with him, Lila. No more painting kids. Keep this up, and you're out. Cut off. No company. No trust fund. Got it? He storms out, leaving her staring at the photo, eyes stinging but too stubborn to cry. Meanwhile, across town at the Carver estate, Ethan's getting his own reckoning. His mom, Victoria Carver, is the ice queen of the family. Sharp cheekbones, sharper tongue, blonde hair pulled tight like her control over everything. She's sipping wine in her pristine living room when her assistant slides that same photo across the table. Her eyes narrow to slits. "Ethan James Carver," she says, voice low and lethal, "explain why my son, the heir to everything I've built, is cozying up to Richard Grayson's brat." Ethan's sprawled on the couch, sleeves rolled up, still wearing that dumb green bracelet because he can't bring himself to take it off. He glances at the photo and feels his stomach drop, but he plays it cool. "Mom, it's nothing. We were just at this charity thing. She's not the devil you think she is." Victoria stands, looming over him. "Not the devil? Her father cost us millions with that streaming deal sabotage. I've warned you since you were 10. Graysons are poison. You're done with her, or you're done with this family. No inheritance, no title. Pick a side." He clenches his jaw, staring at the bracelet, and nods, just enough to get her off his back. But inside, he's a mess. He's known Lila's a Grayson from day one, same as she's known him, and they've danced around it with their dumb banter. Now it's real, and it sucks. They can't just let it in like that, though, not without one last goodbye. They meet up that night at this quiet little park they've both wandered to before, under an old oak tree, where the city noise fades out. Lila's there first, hands stuffed in her hoodie pockets, trying to look tough even though her chest feels like it's caving in. Ethan shows up a minute later, hands in his jeans, face blank but eyes heavy. They stand there, silent, neither wanting to start. Finally, Lila cracks a weak grin. "So, Carver, guess this is it. Don't go spilling paint on anyone else, okay? I'd hate to miss the show." He smirks, falling into their rhythm. "Yeah, Grayson, you too. Try not to tackle any more innocent guys. I won't be there to save you." She laughs, but it's hollow, and her eyes are red. "If you miss me, just trip over something. I'll know it's you." He chuckles. "And if you need me, call. Unless Mom's got my phone tapped, then you're screwed." It's their usual goofiness, but it's a mask. She turns to go, kicking a pebble. "Catch you never, I guess." "Don't follow." "I won't look back, and you're too slow anyway." Her voice wavers and she walks off, steps dragging, like she's hoping he'll yell after her. He doesn't. He just watches, hands balled in his pockets, muttering, "See ya, klutz. Don't trip." The bracelet digs into his wrist, and he hates how much he wants to run after her. They split under that fading sunset, both pretending it's fine, but it's not. Lila gets home, flops on her couch, and buries her face in a pillow, whispering, "Stupid Ethan, why'd you have to be a Carver?" Ethan crashes at his place, staring at the ceiling, the bracelet mocking him. "Lila, you idiot, why'd you have to make me care?" They're apart, but that thread between them, it's still there, stubborn as hell, and it's about to pull them right back into the fire. 2 weeks after that gut punch goodbye in the park, Lila, Grayson, and Ethan Carver were drifting through their days like ghosts. Lila's apartment felt too big, too quiet. Her sketchbook sat untouched, her paints drying out. She'd throw herself into work, barking orders at Grayson Media, but every night she'd come home, slump on the couch in a baggy sweater and leggings, and stare at the wall. Ethan wasn't much better. He'd pace his sleek loft, pretending to care about Carver entertainment reports, but his mind kept replaying Lila's laugh, her dumb elbow nudges, the way she'd smudge paint on him and grin like it was a masterpiece. It's a cold Friday night when it all unravels. The sky's dark, clouds thick and heavy, matching the weight in Lila's chest. She's sprawled on her floor, a half-empty bottle of cheap red wine, $5 from the corner store, sitting next to a plate of cold pizza she hasn't touched. "Fits my mood," she mumbles, pouring another glass. She's flipping through her phone, lands on that photo from the community center. Her and Ethan, mid-laugh. And something snaps. "Why'd you have to be so damn you, Carver?" she says, gulping the wine. It burns, but it doesn't drown the ache. 3 glasses in, her head spinning and she's a mess. Tears streaking her face, hair a wild tangle. That's when the crazy hits. "Screw it," she slurs, stumbling to her feet. "I'm not done with you." She grabs her coat, jams on mismatched sneakers, one's got a hole in the toe, and bolts out the door, not even locking it. The streets are slick with a light drizzle, and she's weaving through them, half running, half crying, yelling, "Ethan, you jerk, I'm coming for you." People stare. Some dude mutters, "Drunk chick," under his breath. But she doesn't care. She knows where he lives. He'd driven her home once, pointed out his building with a casual, "That's my spot, don't stalk me." Now, in her wine-soaked haze, she finds it an upscale complex with glass doors and too many lights. She staggers to his unit, pounding on the door like it owes her money. "Ethan Carver, open up. It's me, Lila, and I'm not leaving." Inside, Ethan slumped on his couch, a cold coffee in hand, staring at that green yarn bracelet like it's taunting him. He's been sleepless, restless, telling himself to let her go, but failing miserably. The banging jolts him upright, and when he hears her voice, slurred but unmistakable, he's at the door in seconds. He swings it open, and Lila launches herself at him, nearly knocking him flat. "You idiot, I miss you!" she sobs, arms locked around his neck, her wet hair plastering to his shirt. He catches her, half laughing, half freaked. "Lila, what the hell? It's midnight. Are you drunk?" She reeks of wine, but her eyes, glassy as they are, burn with something raw. "So what if I am?" she snaps, clinging tighter. "I miss you, for real. My dad can shove it, your mom can shove it, you're mine, and no one's stopping me." She's rambling now, words tumbling out. "I drew you, you know, in my sketchbook, over and over. You're mine, Ethan." Then, boom, she passes out, slumping into his chest, mid-sentence. Ethan's frozen, heart hammering, but he can't help smiling. "You're a lunatic," he mutters, scooping her up and kicking the door shut before the neighbors start gawking. He lays her on the couch, grabs a blanket, and just watches her for a second. This wild, reckless girl who's turned his world upside down. She's out cold, but he doesn't shove her off. Instead, he sits there, letting her lean into him, and before he knows it, he's dozing off too, her head on his shoulder, his arm draped over her like it's the most natural thing. Morning hits hard. Sunlight stabs through the curtains, and Lila jolts awake, head pounding like a drum. She's tangled up with Ethan on the couch, her sweater's twisted, one leg slung over his coat tossed over a chair nearby. Her phone's buzzing like crazy, texts from friends. "Lila, You ran to Ethan's? Wild move. He yelps loud enough to snap Ethan awake. What the? Where am I? What'd you do to me? She demands, clutching her skull. Ethan yawns, rubbing his eyes. Calm down, Picasso. You got trashed, banged on my door at midnight, screamed about missing me, then passed out. Oh, and you drew on me. He holds up his arm. Scrawled in smudged marker across his forearm is mine in her messy handwriting. Lila gapes. What? When? He grins, pulling out his phone. Caught it on my security cam. Check this. He plays it. There's drunk Lila, giggling like a maniac, fishing a marker from his coat pocket left from some meeting, and scribbling on him as he tried to settle her on the couch. You're mine, Carver. No takebacks, video Lila slurs, then flops over. Real Lila buries her face in her hands. Oh my God, I was that gone? Delete it. Ethan laughs loud and bright. No chance. This is gold. They stare at each other, the awkwardness melting into something else. Then they're both cracking up, sprawled on the couch, the absurdity hitting them full force. Lila catches her breath, sighing. You're not mad I showed up like a crazy person? Ethan slides closer, his grin softening. Mad? You were drunk off your ass and still picked me. I'm flattered. Plus, you claimed me for the whole building to hear. I'm stuck now. She blushes, looking away. I was a wreck. Drank too much, missed you too much. Why didn't you kick me out? He takes her hand, voice dropping. Because I missed you too, Lila. Families be damned. I can't do this without you. You running here? That sealed it. They lock eyes, laughing again. Not just at the madness, but at how right it feels. Then, the twist. Lila's fumbling for her phone and a crumpled sketch falls out of her coat pocket. Ethan picks it up, unfolds it, and freezes. It's a drawing. Him and her, standing under an awning in the rain, hands brushing, dated weeks ago, way before she'd admit she cared. You drew this, he asks, stunned. She snatches it back, red-faced. Shut up, it's nothing. But he's grinning like an idiot. Nothing? You've been into me this whole time, Grayson, she groans, shoving him. Don't get cocky. They're back, messy, real, and tougher than ever. Whatever's coming, they're facing it together now. After that wild, wine-soaked night where Lila Grayson stormed Ethan Carver's place and declared him hers, something clicked for both of them. They couldn't keep pretending, couldn't keep letting family rules and old grudges call the shots. They were done running from each other, and that meant making the kind of choice that either break them or set them free. Spoiler, they picked freedom, and it was a hell of a ride. The morning after, they're still on Ethan's couch, a little groggy, clothes rumpled from sleeping tangled up. The markers scrubbed off his arm, mostly, but Lila's sketch of them in the rain is sitting on the coffee table, a quiet proof of what they've both been dodging. She's sipping coffee he brewed, strong and bitter but not burnt, thank God, and she looks at him over the mug. My dad's never gonna let this fly, you know. He hates Carvers like it's his job. Ethan sets his cup down, nodding. My mom's worse. She'd rather disown me than see me with a Grayson. But I'm over it. Living for them, I mean. I want you, Lila. Not the title, not the cash. You in? She smiles, small but real, and slides her hand into his. Yeah, I'm in. I'm so sick of being the perfect Grayson heir. Meetings, fake smiles, all of it. If it's you or them, it's you, but we'll lose everything. Money, houses, the works. Ethan grins, that half-cocky, half-sweet look she's starting to love. Then we lose it. I'd rather scrape by with you than sit pretty without. Just don't expect me to eat your cooking. We'd starve. She smacks his shoulder, laughing. You're one to talk, Mr. Coffee Disaster. We'll figure it out. And they do, fast. No long goodbyes, no dramatic speeches. Lila scribbles a note for her dad. Henry, I'm out. Choosing me this time. Don't come looking. Ethan fires off a text to his mom. Mom, I'm done. Keeping my life, not your legacy. Bye. They grab a couple duffels, clothes, some cash they've stashed away, Lila's sketchbook, Ethan's beat-up headphones, and hit the road that night. Ethan's got this old clunker he bought off a friend, a rattling sedan that smells like stale fries, and they peel out of the city, leaving the glitz and the fights behind. They land in this tiny town a few hundred miles away. Tree-lined streets, red-roofed houses, a place where no one's heard of Grayson Media or Carver Entertainment. They rent a little one-story house, white paint peeling, a scrappy garden out front choked with weeds. It's not much, creaky floors, a kitchen barely big enough for two, but it's theirs. With what's left of their savings, they open a spot out front, messy masterpieces, part art studio, part coffee shop. Day one's a circus, Lila spilling paint cans trying to set up easels, Ethan's fumbling the espresso machine, nearly dumping grounds on a customer. "You're hopeless," she teases, wiping a table. "Says the girl who just painted the floor," he shoots back, grinning. But the locals love it. Their chaos, their vibe. Lila names the drinks after their screw-ups. Spilled canvas latte for her, burnt bean brew for him. Ethan hangs their sloppy sketches on the walls, ugly, uneven lines that somehow charm everyone. They're not rich anymore, no fancy cars or designer threads, just jeans and tees stained with coffee and acrylics. Nights they close up, sit on a bench outside with a bag of cheap fries and talk dumb stuff, like how Lila once fell off a chair sketching, or how Ethan got grounded for sneaking out to a concert. It's simple, and it's everything. One day, mid-afternoon, the place is humming, kids doodling, regulars sipping, when a woman slips in, quiet as a shadow. It's Victoria Carver, Ethan's mom, dressed down in a brown sweater and sunglasses, no trace of her usual Ice Queen flair. She sits by the window, watching. Ethan's carrying a tray of muffins to some teens, joking, "Eat up, or you're washing dishes." Lila's behind the counter, pouring a coffee for an old guy, beaming when he says, "Best brew in town, missy." They're laughing, tossing napkins at each other, eyes bright in a way Victoria's never seen. Not back in that sterile Carver mansion. She sips a spilled canvas latte, lips twitching at the name, and thinks about that disownment threat. Was it worth it? She doesn't say a word, just leaves when the crowd thins. But she's made up her mind. A few days later, she calls Henry Grayson, not for a fight, but a truce. They meet at some hole-in-the-wall diner, Henry in a faded flannel instead of his power suit, Victoria with her hair loose for once. They're not alone. Lila's mom, Margaret, and Ethan's dad, Paul, tag along, all four of them sitting across from each other, the air thick at first. Victoria breaks it. "I saw them, Henry, at their little shop. They're happy. Happier than I ever made Ethan." Henry stares at a photo she slides over. Lila and Ethan, mid-laugh, fries in hand, snapped from outside the window. He sighs, voice rough. "Lila too. I thought cutting her off would fix her, but look at that smile. I don't know what we've been fighting for." Margaret nods, teary. "They're ours, but they're theirs too." Paul, gruff but soft, adds, "Maybe we let 'em win this one." They shake hands, awkward, rusty, after decades of war, and call off the dogs. No more lawsuits, no more sabotage. Grayson Media and Carver Entertainment start whispering about a joint project, something quiet but real. Lila and Ethan don't even know yet. They're too busy bickering over who gets the last fry, living their goofy, perfect little life. Whatever's coming, they've already got what matters. Lila Grayson and Ethan Carver had built something real out there in that little town with messy masterpieces. Painting their days with coffee stains and laughter. They thought that was it, their happily ever after, far from the corporate claws of their families. But a few months in, a curveball lands. A letter, signed by all four parents, Henry and Margaret Grayson, Victoria and Paul Carver, summoning them back to the city. "We need to talk," it says, no details, just an address and a date. Ethan's pacing their tiny living room, tossing the note on the table. "This is it, Lila. Showdown time. They're gonna drag us back. Lila smirks, sketching a doodle of him with a shield. If they start swinging, you're my human wall, okay? I'm not running twice. They pile into that rattly old sedan, nerves buzzing but cracking jokes the whole drive. Lila betting Henry'll break a chair, Ethan swearing Victoria's got a glare that'll melt steel. When they roll up to Grayson Media's headquarters, they're braced for a fight, hands sweaty, ready to bolt. But they step into the meeting room, and it's weird. No yelling, no fists on tables. Henry's there, looking softer than usual, Margaret beside him with a faint smile. Victoria's got her arms crossed but no ice in her eyes, and Paul's just leaning back, watching. The four of them sitting together like it's normal. Henry clears his throat. Thought I'd lost you, Lila. Didn't like it. Margaret nods. If you're happy, kid, I'm good. Victoria glances at Ethan, almost sheepish. You too, Ethan. I'm not fighting this. Paul chuckles. You two are a damn mess, but we're not stopping you. Lila blinks, dumbfounded, and Ethan stammers. Wait, no ambush? Lila cracks up, leaning into him. I was ready to sprint out the window again. The parents laugh, actual laughs, and it's like a knot unties itself right there. A few days later, the city's buzzing because those four throw them a wedding. Nothing huge, just a garden bash at the Grayson estate. Lila's in a simple white dress, no frills, tripping over the hem once and grinning about it. Ethan's in a black suit that's a touch too tight, tugging at the collar but beaming ear to ear. Guests cheer, kids from the community center run around with paintbrushes, and the parents sit together, raising glasses. Henry toasts. To your happiness, you lunatics. Don't vanish again. Victoria smirks. And Ethan, no burning the house down. Margaret laughs. Lila's clumsy enough for both of you. Paul nods. It's in the blood. After the vows, they don't just fade into small-town life. They come back, sort of. The families cook up a wild idea. A sterling Carver joint venture. A docuseries blending art and storytelling. Henry and Paul hash out the big picture. Margaret and Victoria crunch the numbers, and the old rivalry? It's dust. Lila and Ethan pitch in, still bickering over who's got the better eye for edits, then laughing when they both botch it. Their parents just shake their heads, muttering, these kids'll never grow up. They settle into a little house near the venture's office. Not fancy, but theirs. One night, they're sprawled on the couch, fries scattered between them, swapping stories like always. The doorbell rings, and in pile Henry, Margaret, Victoria, and Paul, crashing the party. Henry plops down, grabbing a fry. You two holding up? Lila leans on Ethan, grinning. We made it, didn't we? Ethan nods. Yeah, but no more drunk midnight runs, okay? Victoria cuts in. And don't torch the kitchen. Margaret adds, Lila, stop dropping stuff. Paul roars. Whole damn family's a circus. The room fills with laughter, loud and messy in theirs. A year later, they throw an art show. Messy Masterpieces goes big, with that sketch of them in the rain as the centerpiece. It's public now, that secret piece of Lila's heart, and Ethan teases her mercilessly. Told you were hooked first. She shoves him, grinning. Shut it, Carver. I won in the end. They're goofy, they're real, and they've turned two warring clans into one big chaotic crew. That's their perfect canvas. Love, laughter, and a little bit of madness, to keep it honest.